Hey guys, Anime West Reacts here. In my review reaction video, whatever you want to call it, for Yuki Holder chapter 174. So we start this chapter off with Mizori and forget her name. Let's say Karin, but probably not it. The two human people that Toda knows pretty much. I remember Mizori is Shinobu. Mizori and Shinobu. So yeah, chapter starts off with those two, Toda saying, or narrating, says, "Today I'm going on a date with these two." So we got Mizori saying, "I picked them out." He says, "Shinobu looks clothes," and Mizori puts her hand out and says, "I picked them out." And then Toda says, "Wow, they look good." Mizori just goes, "Ho ho ho," and then Shinobu says, stuttery thanks. And so he's like, "As for how this all got started a few hours earlier," got Mizori saying, "I feel that you are entirely too friendly with them." And she's like putting her hands down on the table. Toda's like, "Huh?" So you got Karin, Kuromaru, and Kyrie in the back reacting. And so Mizori is saying, "Speaking of," she says, "I am speaking of your recent attitude, Toda-sama. It would seem that there has been a subtle change in your relationship with Karin-san, Kyrie-san, and Kuromaru-san," and Kyrie and Kuromaru are like, and Karin's just like sweating. So Mizori says, "There can be no doubt that something has happened," and then Toda's like, "No, nothing happened." It's like, "Wait, maybe it did." And then he's remembered it's his last time on Yuki Holder, when they were all in the bed, he wakes. So he got like, he's like, "Guys, what's going on?" And they're like, "Gasp, Toda-kun, oh no." Kyrie is like, "Oh no, we fell asleep." And then Karin's just like drawing her sword saying, "Lose those memories immediately." So Toda's just like, "So girls, what was that?" And then they say nothing. They pretty much all say nothing. And then, yeah. Kuromaru says nothing. Kyrie says nothing at all. And then Karin is just like holding like a hammer or something that says, "Any further inquiry will lead to your doom." So Mizori's like, "And that all being the case, I demand a correction of this injustice." And Toda's just like, "Correction, how?" And she's like, "I demand a full day of sweet, sappy romance." And then Shinobu's like, "Me too." And Toda's like, "A date?" So Nana appears. Nana just like warps in and says, "Very well, I cannot bear the thought of flatly refusing the pure, innocent wish of a young girl after all." So yeah, it's like, Shinobu's like, "Nano-san." Nano says, "By the power vested in me as second in command, I hereby grant Toda 1 day off of his training." And Toda's like, "Wait, you're second in command? Seriously, sweet." So yeah, cover page of the chapter is Shinobu and Mizori, for obvious reasons, in their underwear. And the title of the chapter is literally Shinobu and Mizori. And so back, I guess, to the present of them going on their date. Toda's like, huh. And then Mizori says, "Is something the matter?" And Toda's like, "No, I was just realizing how tall you are. When we first met, you looked like you were in grade school." So Mizori says, "Oh, you finally noticed." And then Mizori's like, "In that case, look at Shinobu. She's grown too." Toda's like, "Huh, hey, you're right. She's a lot taller." She says, "No, I was referring to a different part of her that has grown distinctly more prominent." So yeah, talking about her chest, most likely, yep. Because next panel is literally Mizori grabbing her chest. So yeah, Shinobu goes off, or screams, says, Mizori-chan, what are you doing? Mizori then says, it is crucial that we play up your most appealing characteristics. And Tota's like, oh, I'm going to stay the same forever now, but they are going to keep growing and maturing. And then someone bumps into him and he says, Tota says, sorry about that, no, it's my fault, I wasn't looking where I was going. And then it's Tota's friends from back in the countryside that he's run into. And he's like, yeah, and they're like all shocked. Like he's about to say guys, and they're like, yeah, and they say, guys, Tota, it's you. And so yeah, everyone, they all start hitting him. And so they're laughing, say, what are you doing here? And it's like, hoo ha ha, you little so-and-so. Couldn't bother to call us once after you left the capital. And it's like, huh, no, remember I saw you guys at the tower station. And they're like, oh right. Or he's like, oh right, that got rewound. And it's like, never mind, anyway, seriously, what are you guys doing in the capital? And it's like, yeah. It says, what do you think? Something. So yeah, what do you think? We're in high school going to Mahura. We've all been staying in the same dorm since spring. And it's like, what, for real? You've been in town? It's like, oh right, I was on Inverse Mars for a while, so, and they're like, Inverse Mars, and he's like, never mind. And they're just laughing. Because they all just keep hitting him, and then eventually he just like throws his hands up and they all get knocked off. And they're like, wait, Tota, are you shrinking? So yeah, like, wait, Tota, are you shrinking? And it's like, huh, of course not, you guys all got taller. And they're like, and then Tota turns around and is like, yeah, sorry. He says, you got taller. And then Shinobu says, Senpai, who are these people? And he's like, oh, sorry, Shinobu Mizori. We were still in the middle of a date. And then he's like, these are my friends from back home. And they're all giving him this bad look. And he's like, sorry guys, I'd love to stay and catch up on everything, but I kind of have plans with them today. And they're just like, what, a date with both of them? That doesn't make sense. And they're so cute. You trying to pick a fight? I'm gonna punch you. And he's like, no, He's like, no, you are punching me. And then Zori says it's alright, Tota-sama. He says, huh? And then he says, I'd like to get to know your friends, isn't it right? And I was like, huh, right, yes. And then they're just like, and we want to get to know them. And Tota's like, yeah. So they go to somewhere called Daesan or something. Category, apparently. And so Tota introduces them, says this is Mizori, your hero, or Yukihiro. She's kind of just dropped in uninvited one day. She's been freeloading at the Senyokan ever since, and this is Shinobu Yuki. She left her village in the countryside and found me, and now she's freeloading too. They all have this like very dead serious look on their faces. All his friends. And he's like, damn it, you little punk, they're so cute. How can you call them freeloaders? That doesn't make any sense. And then it's like, no, come on, how many times do you have to hit me before you're happy? And it's like, we'll never be happy. And then someone thinking, I'd be in so much trouble if they found out about Kyrie and the others. Yeah, Tota's thinking that. So he says, anyway, I wouldn't be who I am today without these four, and I'm not exaggerating. So yeah, so then he introduces them. Then he says, this is Mihashi, an aspiring musician. This is Shiraishi, an aspiring writer. Niku Maru Tanaka, an aspiring chef. And this is Noah, aspiring foreign diplomat, the only one that's super not fun. And he's like, And Toda says, all four of them are far and away awesome, more awesome than me. And Mizori's like, oh my. And then Shinobu says, if Toda Senpai thinks that they're awesome, they must be really amazing. And then he says, I've already forgotten their names. His friend says, don't take him seriously, lady. He's just an idiot who thinks everything he sees is awesome, so you should only listen to about half of what he says. Haru just laughs, and then Shinobu's like, that's true. Nikumaru then says, anyway, Yukihime, Sensei kept us updated on what you've been up to. Toda says, she said you showed an exceptionally rare talent for combat, so you're working with the mob. And Toda's like, Yukihime. And then someone says, she calls us way more often than you do. And he's like, seriously, what does she mean by the mob? Are you in the mafia? Well, something like that, I guess. And they're like, I don't know if this is true or not, but she said something about you defending the slums from an evil corporation and rescuing the city from terrorists. And apparently you saved the world at least twice. I was like, she told you all that. And they're like, it's bullshit, isn't it? I seriously doubt it. Well, it's not really. And someone says, Yukihime Senpai doesn't lie. I guess Toda says that, and he's like, well, even if it's all true, I will always and forever think that you guys are awesomer than me. I mean it. Being able to beat people up doesn't accomplish anything. And then they all just kind of blush. And I was like, yeah, keep talking. You've always been like that. And it's like, come on, guys, it was a compliment. And he's like, it's comforting to know that you're still the same guy. And they're like, well, his friends, I guess, are leaving, saying, well, someone says, well, I'd feel bad for the ladies if we just sat here chatting all day. I think it's about time we left. So one of them says, you live in the city, right? And then he's like, then we can see you anytime. And it's like, later. And then Toda's like, no. And he's, actually, Toda's like, actually, I'm about to go up at the tower into space. I have to, or the world's in big trouble. And then they're like, So Toda says, we're leaving in 5 days. We're going to go up the tower and take a spaceship to the edge of the solar system. Even if everything goes perfectly, I won't be back for a year. And then he's like, I'm sorry. And then his friend says, for what? He says, we're going up the tower before you. And it's like, that's okay. And it's like, what? You don't care? And it's like, you said the world's in trouble. And Nikumaru says, I think I heard about this, you going with that fleet of spaceships they're putting together up in the orbit. And Toda says, I can't go into detail, but it's gonna be okay. I'm glad I got to see you today. I'm just gonna go save the world real quick and to make sure your futures are safe. And they go, it's too bad we won't get to see you for another year. Sorry guys, you better come back. Yeah, and they're like all hitting him and wrapping their arms around him. And Nikumaru then says, yo, when you get back, let's all go to an all-you-can-eat buffet with lots of meat. I was like, yeah. And then they say, see you later. And he's like, yeah. Then Mizori's like, are you sure about this? And then Toda says, I had planned with you girls first. And Shinobu's like, what? What is it? Or Shinobu says, what? And then Toda says, what is it? And Shinobu says, Hashi-san told me about his. I just looked them up, and the latest one has 3 million. Pretty big. So yeah, they're pretty famous. So apparently, Hashi's novel has 2.3 million views. And I was like, whoa, that's awesome. And he's like, but I thought you knew how amazing your friends are. That's even awesome. He's like, that's even awesomer than I thought. And then Shinobu's like, you really don't pay attention, do you? And then Mizori's like, I'd expect nothing less of Toda-sama's friends. I'll need to keep an eye on the 4 of them. And so we see them kind of just going to ice cream, checking out clothes, playing with pigeons or some kind of bird. And Midori, I guess, says Totosama this way. I saved the best spot for last. And so we got. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's the best spot for last. So we got Nobu see it, and Nobu's like, whoa. So it's the city pretty much. And it's like a view of the entire city and the like elevator. And Toda says, yeah, sorry. It's awesome. You won't be able to see the tower once you climbed it. I know how you loved it, so I saved bought just for you. And Toda says, this is really the best. Or this really is the best. And then Shinobu says, Midori says, now Shinobu-san, do you mind if I went first? And she's like, okay. And Shinobu's like, I'll see you later then. And he's like, wait, Shinobu. And then Midori says, Totosama, I'd like to speak with you alone. And then Toda's like, huh. And so I guess Shinobu goes away, and so Midori's like, Toda's like, what did you want to talk to me about? And he says, Midori, you're Yukihiro. And then she gets real close, and she's like, just starts laughing. And then she says, oh, you're so kind to everyone else, but you're not quite nice to me. You're so nice to me. And then Toda's like, yeah, you kind of come on a little too strong. And he's like, besides, you can do anything without anybody's help. You don't need me. And Midori says, where you're wrong, Totosama, this is destiny. You and I think exactly the same way. And then she like does like a flip up onto the wall, I guess, and says, and he's like, come on, and he's like, hey, or he says, we can start anyway. So really important. Yeah, she's like, piece of care, but she cuts. And then she says, we dined with the saying that they were more amazing than you are. I meant it. And to you are more, you have powers that some consider to be greater than most in the solar, and you feel that. Because they are more amazing than you, they don't do all good at it. Fighting a guy like me. And Midori finishes, but can never save the world like your grandmother. And he's like, oh, right, Midori, you keep bringing that up about ways to save the world. She says, have you your antidote on it? He says, maybe I do have powers. All I do is her on the bags when they show up. That won't work. And Midori says, but you were sworn enemy at the age of the beginning, yelled about. He's trying to change the world. Put the smooth side. Toda says, yeah, I know that's the point. I think it's wrong. The way she's changed the world. And Toda says, the right path. Further than Kage-san are on the path. He says, and you, Midori, your paths are taken by humans. And then he smiles to protect the pets, and then she looks at him, smiles, and gets annoyed. And then she yells, there you see that. Yeah. Sorry about these pauses. So yeah, she yells at him, says, throws her hands up and says, there you see, you think exactly the same way I do. That's my Totosama. Let us be married. So yeah. Yeah. Sorry. As I said, it's throwing me up. That's pausing in what I'm saying. So yeah, there's that. She says, Larry, backwards, and he says, be careful. She's like, I got hurt, and oh my, or she's oh my, and laughs, and she says, yeah, let us be married. And he's like, seriously, how to follow? Yeah. Alright. So yeah. She says, sorry, because he just like minutes. But he's like, what have to do with us getting married? He kisses him on the, and then she says, if you marry me, you'll be the next heir to the hero. He's going left of his arms. And he's like, oh. And then she says, the Yukihiro comrade has never fully believed that contributing to the progress and prosperity of the human race is the shortest route to achieving the goal you see. And Cho's like, see. He's like, wow, you are something else, but come on. He's like, come on, Ray. Am I mistaken, or do you tell me you don't have it? Like, no, sorry, you really are awesome, but just wait a second. And then she said, "You're afraid of the possibility that you may not return from your journey." And then Mary was like, "Believe I told her some and I was less." And I was like, "No, you definitely find better." And now she's like, "This year, every absence, like." She said, "Once you that promise back, then we can eat with your friends over here. And yeah, finest and all you can eat carnivorous buffets until you let okay, I promise you back here." Sorry, it's like no, just there. And she's like, "I'm finished here now. It's your turn." And then she's like, "Okay." And then she's getting a flying demo. It looks like he's and Toad's like, "As usual, she hits you like a hurricane." And she just laughs. And she says, "Sorry for eavesdropping. I'm sorry, sure close." Is what Toda says. And then Shinobu says, "Yes, with everything that's going on, she is worried about me not going to school. So she's making sure I study with Hanoka-chan and Asana-chan." And Shinobu says, "I have so much to thank her for." And then Toda's like, "Yeah, she really is awesome." And then Toda's like, "So you're ready to go?" And Shinobu's like, "Yes, senpai, I'd like you to come this way, please, because she's got something to say too." And Toda's like, "Whoa, a date in the sky. It feels good up here, doesn't it?" Because, yeah, they're on like a flying motorcycle thing. And then Shinobu's just freaking out because of the word date. And Toda's laughing, saying, "This was a good idea, and it's very you." And Shinobu's like, "Yes, thank you." And yeah, Toda says, "It reminds me of that race. That race was really embarrassing." And it's like, "No kidding, but by the end you were totally in the zone." And I was like, "I always knew she was awesome." And then Shinobu's like, "You remembered?" And she says, "Senpai." And then he says, "Hmm." And then, yeah. She says, do you only like people if they're awesome?" Then Toad's like, "Huh." So Shinobu says, "I know you like amazing people and everyone around you is incredible, but..." And she's like, "But I'm not awesome." And then Toda's like, "What are you talking about?" "You are." And then she shakes her head no and says, "I knew you'd say that, senpai, but I am not awesome. All I ever do is run away, and even when I came because I wasn't getting along with my parents, so I ran away. If it weren't for you, senpai, I might have died in a gutter in the city somewhere." Ah, so yeah, Toda just knew, and then I think she hits the brakes. And she says, "I say I want to race in the Olympics or be part of a crew of an interstellar spaceship, but those are dreams. Those dreams are all too good to be true. What the acceptance rate to work on the Mayflower 3 will be?" Toda says no, and then Shinobu says, I heard only 1 in 57,000 will be accepted. Haven't gone through junior high, there's no they'll take me on to even say it's my dream. The stress it's having on her eyes. And then she says, "I'm going," and like puts his scissors shoulder. And she's, "I'm sorry, here we are spending time together. You don't want to hear about any of this." And then Toda says, "Okay." And she's like silent for a second. Then Shinobu says, "Senpai, you don't know if you'll make it back, do you?" And then he's like, "No." And so she turns around and she's like, "I have a favor to ask." And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Would you give me a K?" And then courage. "Would you give me some courage?" And then Toda says courage, and Shinobu says, "I can't do anything fancy like Mizori-chan did, so I'm just going to ask." She says, "I'm going to take the junior high and high school equivalency exam and go to college and get an astronaut's license and build my resume." And it's like, how? Now that I said it out loud, I'm not sure if I can do it, but I really do want to apply to be on the crew of the Mayflower. She says, "I might just be one of so many to you, senpai, but to me today you are everything, so please give me courage." And Toda's like, "Okay." And then she says, "So I want I want you to kiss me, please. And Toad says, okay. She's like, oh, and then they kiss. And then fireworks go off in the background. And he's like, well, did that help? So, yeah. And she's like, yes, I feel much better. And Toda says, really good. And so he's laughing. And then Toda says, Shinobu, I'm not awesome either, you know. So Toda says, I didn't have any memories, so I borrowed everything from my friends back home, even the way I think. My DNA, my immortal powers, my strength, and fighting moves, they're all borrowed fake. And then he says, not one thing about me is real, so when I watch on me, everybody I see makes me, well, they're awesome. He says, that's why I'm always thinking about how I at least have to keep trying so that I won't be a total loser compared to them. And then she says, I had no idea. She says, she starts laughing, and Toda says, And she says, I knew it, senpai, I really do love you. Toda's like, well, thanks. And she's like, hey, you know, I haven't been to junior high or high school either. Do you think I can take those equivalency exams too? And she was like, what, you want to take the exams too? And then she's like, it's a good idea, I would love that. Then we can go to college together. And it's like, yeah, cool, we'll live the campus life. And she's like, the campus life, and it sounds fun, yeah, let's go to college together. I was like, alright. And it says, well, I'm going to stay at Mizori-tan's house tonight, so yeah, drops her off there. It says, okay, I'll borrow your airbag to get back to the HQ, so he drops Mizori. Or Shinobu off in Mizori. She says, well then, good night to you, Toda-sama, and then Shinobu says, see you tomorrow. And then Toda says, yeah. And then Toda, from the future to the past, says, but this ended up being the last time I'd ever really talked to them. So yeah, that's chapter 174. Pretty good chapter overall. This ended up being like a longer video than I was expecting, actually. But yeah, hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure to leave a like, comment on the video, subscribe for more anime reaction reviews and manga reviews. Check links down below to my Twitter, Twitch, and Discord, and I'll we'll see you all next time. So yeah, later.